America figured out something remarkable. You don't need a good product, you just need a good story. Here are 42 products that proved it. 1. Everyone assumes the pet rock was a fringe novelty that sold a few thousand units to collectors with too much money and not enough hobbies. It was not a fringe anything. Gary Dahl sold 1.5 million pet rocks in 6 months during 1975 and walked away a millionaire. The rock itself cost practically nothing to source. The retail price was $3.95. What you were actually paying for was a 32-page training manual and a cardboard carrier box with air holes punched into the sides, because the box needed air holes for the rock. Dahl's material cost per unit was almost entirely the packaging, not the product. He placed these things in department stores, got on national television, and sold the concept as a zero-maintenance pet during a period when people genuinely couldn't afford real animals. The genius wasn't the rock. The genius was making you feel like you were in on the joke while simultaneously being the joke. You paid $4 for something your driveway was already giving away for free, and you thought it was charming. 2. The bottled water industry has spent decades building an image of glacial purity, pristine mountain sources, and water so clean it practically judges your tap for existing. A significant percentage of the best-selling bottled water brands in the country are sourced directly from municipal water systems, meaning the same infrastructure currently running to your kitchen sink. Pepsi's Aquafina and Coca-Cola's Dasani both disclose this on their labels, in language specifically designed to not be noticed. Here's the part that should genuinely bother you. The EPA regulates tap water more aggressively than the FDA regulates bottled water. Your tap gets tested hundreds of times per month. Bottled water faces far lighter scrutiny. Americans spend approximately $16 billion per year on this category, making it the best-selling packaged beverage in the country. The plastic bottle surrounding the water contains more engineering oversight than the liquid inside it. You paid a 2,000% markup to drink filtered municipal water from a container that will outlive everyone at your funeral. 3. The Snuggie generated over $500 million in sales, and the product is a bathrobe worn backwards. That is the complete innovation. Someone looked at a bathrobe, rotated it 180 degrees, and filed a patent on the direction. The infomercial, which ran in relentless late-night rotation starting in 2008, depicted people in states of profound suffering caused by regular blankets, struggling to answer the phone, tragically unable to operate a remote control. Blankets, framed as a crisis that had gone unsolved for the entirety of human civilization. A near-identical product called a Slankit had existed for nearly a decade before the Snuggie launched and failed to reach mainstream success, almost entirely because the marketing wasn't as aggressively committed to the premise. The Snuggie's rise is now studied in business schools as a case study in manufactured urgency, the art of dramatizing a problem that doesn't meaningfully exist, and then selling a solution at a markup. $500 million for a backwards robe. The only thing that product kept genuinely warm was the bank account of whoever wrote that infomercial. 4. Millions of Americans have worn magnetic bracelets believing the device improves balance, reduces pain, boosts energy, and interacts in some measurable beneficial way with the body's electromagnetic field. There is no peer-reviewed clinical evidence that consumer-grade magnetic bracelets do anything to the human body beyond occupying wrist space. The magnetic field produced by these bracelets is thousands of times weaker than the magnets used in actual medical MRI equipment, which itself does not provide the benefits the bracelets claim. Studies testing magnetic bracelets against placebo bracelets under double-blind conditions found no statistically significant difference in pain or balance outcomes between the two groups. The market for magnetic therapy products in the US has exceeded $1 billion annually, driven almost entirely by athlete endorsements and testimonials rather than clinical data. The FTC has issued warnings and fines to multiple companies making specific health claims, which is why most packaging now uses terms like promotes wellness instead of anything a scientist would have to respond to. You strapped a refrigerator magnet to your wrist, called it medicine, and paid $80 for the experience. 5. Homeopathic remedies occupy entire aisles in major pharmacies, sit next to legitimate medications, and are purchased by millions of people who believe they contain active medicinal ingredients. By definition, they do not. The standard homeopathic dilution notation of 30C means the original substance has been diluted by a factor of 10 to the power of 60, a number that exceeds the total count of atoms in the observable universe. Not a single molecule of the original active ingredient remains in the final product. You are purchasing water or sugar formatted to look like medicine. The entire American homeopathy market exceeds $1 billion annually. The FDA announced in 2017 that it would begin applying stricter oversight to these products after decades of treating them as essentially exempt from standard drug testing requirements. Multiple class action lawsuits have resulted in settlements, and companies have agreed to add clearer disclosures. The products remain on shelves. The sales continue, the dilution math has not changed. You paid pharmacy prices for a sugar pill that has been scientifically reduced to meaninglessness, and the placebo effect has never cost this much per bottle. 6. The shake weight generated approximately $40 million in sales, based on what exercise physiologists describe, with considerable restraint, as a marketing concept with limited biomechanical application. The women's version weighed 2.5 pounds, lighter than a standard jug of laundry detergent. The dynamic inertia branding on the packaging was a rephrasing of vibration without the scientific grounding that phrase typically implies. Exercise scientists noted that the range of motion and resistance load delivered by this device fell well below any threshold needed to stimulate meaningful muscle adaptation in adult tissue. The infomercial became one of the most parodied advertisements in television history, which generated enormous free media coverage that almost certainly amplified sales rather than suppressing them, because notoriety moves product regardless of the reason for it. The shake weight illustrates what researchers call exercise theater. Fitness products that produce the sensation of working during use while delivering negligible, measurable results over time. $40 million for a product that belongs in the prop department. The only muscle it consistently exercised was the one responsible for impulse purchases at 11 o'clock at night. 7. Detox foot pads are sold on the premise that pressing adhesive patches onto the soles of your feet while you sleep causes your body to release toxins through the skin, which the pad dutifully absorbs overnight. The pad turns dark by morning. Customers take this as proof. The darkening is a chemical reaction with moisture and heat from the body. It happens with any absorbed warmth. The toxins being removed do not exist in the form being marketed. The skin is a barrier organ, not an excretory one. It is specifically engineered to keep things out, including the body's own metabolic waste, which is processed by the liver and kidneys and eliminated through urine and breath, not through the bottom of your foot. Laboratory testing of used foot pads found no significant concentrations of heavy metals or metabolic waste products in the darkened material. The browning reaction can be replicated by holding a pad over steam with no feet involved whatsoever, a fact the manufacturers have never been eager to publicize. The detox pad market generates tens of millions annually, marketed most aggressively during January, when guilt is at its peak, marketable concentration. You paid for a sticker that tans itself overnight and told you it was medicine. 8. Ear candles are hollow wax cones inserted into the ear canal while the opposite end is lit on fire. Marketed as creating a vacuum that draws out earwax and debris, improving hearing and clearing the sinuses. Clinical testing found no vacuum is created. What researchers did document was wax from the candle itself being deposited into the ear canal during use, along with documented cases of burns to the face and surrounding tissue. The FDA has issued multiple warnings against ear candles, stating they have no demonstrated clinical value and carry real injury risk. The evidence of cleaning that practitioners sometimes show customers after a session, the debris inside the used candle, is entirely composed of candle material confirmed through combustion analysis. The product continues to sell in health food stores and online marketplaces at prices between $10 and $40 per pair, generating millions in annual revenue. The mechanism is physically backward. The heat rises away from the ear canal, not toward it. No negative pressure sufficient to move earwax is produced. You lit a fire next to your skull to clean your ear, and the only thing removed from the situation was your common sense and a small amount of cash. 9. Premium alkaline water is sold on the belief that it raises your body's pH, reduces internal acidity, improves metabolism, increases energy, and slows aging. Your body's blood pH is maintained within a precise non-negotiable range by your lungs and kidneys, regardless of what you drink. Any liquid you consume is immediately exposed to stomach acid registering around a pH of 2, which neutralizes alkalinity before absorption occurs. The alkaline property of the water is chemically destroyed before it reaches your bloodstream. High-end alkaline water ionizer machines retail between $1,000 and $4,000. The FTC has specifically flagged marketing claims attached to these devices as unsubstantiated. The bottled alkaline water market in the US is valued at over $700 million annually and continues to grow, driven by wellness influencer content and lifestyle branding rather than clinical research. The one documented benefit of alkaline water, modest reduction of acid reflux in some patients with specific diagnosed conditions, applies to a narrow clinical population, not the broad health claims made in mainstream marketing. You paid a premium for water that changes its pH the instant it contacts your stomach acid. Your kidneys are doing the actual regulatory work. They have been doing it for free your entire life. 10. The ThighMaster generated over $100 million in sales, and the scientific premise it was built on, spot reduction, has been one of the most thoroughly debunked concepts in exercise physiology for decades. Spot reduction is the idea that working a specific muscle causes the body to preferentially burn fat from that adjacent area. It does not work this way. Fat is mobilized systemically through caloric deficit, not locally through muscle contraction. The body does not selectively burn fat next to whichever muscle is currently engaged. Furthermore, the resistance load provided by the ThighMaster was insufficient to stimulate significant muscle development by any standard measurement, meaning it failed simultaneously on both mechanisms it claimed to use: fat reduction and toning. The infomercial era of the late 1980s and 90s produced dozens of similar targeted devices, virtually all of which have been subsequently analyzed and found to deliver negligible results compared to basic compound exercise available for free in any open space. $100 million for a product that works, as described roughly as well as squeezing a stress ball to develop visible abdominal muscles, the math never worked. The marketing worked perfectly. 11 power balance wristbands were sold with the claim that holographic technology embedded in the silicone interacted with the body's natural energy field to improve strength, balance, flexibility, and athletic performance. In 2010, Power Balance's own company issued a public statement acknowledging there was no credible scientific evidence supporting any of those claims. They said so themselves in writing after generating $35 million in revenue. The hologram inside the wristband was a thin piece of metallic foil with a logo on it. No embedded frequency technology of any kind existed inside the product. Australian regulators forced the company to issue consumer refunds and public corrections. The U.S. entity subsequently filed for bankruptcy. The demonstration technique used by sales representatives to prove the product worked, a resistance test where customers appeared stronger while wearing the band, was identified as a classic applied kinesiology trick that functioned identically with any object or no object at all. The product was distributed to professional athletes across multiple sports, providing social proof that outlasted the scientific evidence by several years. You bought a logo on a rubber band and called it performance technology. At least the athletic tape it competed against actually holds things in place. 12. Electric ab stimulator belts were marketed as a way to passively develop visible abdominal definition by sending electrical pulses through the skin while the wearer sat on a couch doing nothing. The FTC pursued multiple ad belt companies for false advertising, resulting in over $100 million in combined settlements. EMS technology used in physical therapy settings is a legitimate clinical tool for muscle rehabilitation following injury. The intensity levels permitted in consumer devices are a fraction of what clinical units deliver, and the therapeutic application is entirely different. The FTC's 2002 action against products including the AB Energizer, the Abtronic, and Fast Abs resulted in findings that their advertising claims were false and without substantiation. The ads promise visible abdominal definition with zero exercise, which is physiologically impossible. Visible abs require both muscle development and significant reduction of subcutaneous fat, neither of which is achieved through low-intensity passive electrical stimulation applied to clothed skin. Despite legal settlements, EMS AB belt products continue resurfacing under new brand names with carefully modified claim language, cycling through the same consumer base every several years with the same promise repackaged in different industrial design. You gave yourself a mild electrical shock on the stomach and waited for the transformation. It did not arrive. 13. The Kineki brand Detox Footpad ran one of the most watched late-night infomercials of the 2000s and claimed to remove toxins, metabolic wastes, heavy metals, and more through the soles of the feet using a proprietary formula including wood vinegar. The Federal Trade Commission sued the parent company directly. A federal judge found the claims to be false and without substantiation and ordered $14.5 million in consumer refunds. The FTC's investigation found the company had no scientific evidence supporting any claimed detoxification mechanism and that wood vinegar had no demonstrated clinical role in extracting anything from human tissue through the skin. The infomercial ran in extremely high rotation during late-night broadcast windows and was among the most financially successful direct response television campaigns of that decade before regulatory action caught up with it. The product was also sold as a sleep aid, claiming the pads improved sleep quality, a second claim for which no evidence was presented. The case became a significant FTC benchmark for what constitutes deceptive health advertising in direct response television, influencing how subsequent infomercial products get reviewed. A federal judge agreed the product did nothing. The company collected millions before anyone officially noticed. Justice showed up, as it frequently does, slightly after the money had already left the building. 14. Himalayan salt lamps are widely believed to release negative ions that purify surrounding air, reduce allergens, improve mood, boost energy, and somehow neutralize the electromagnetic radiation emitted by nearby electronic devices. Salt lamps do not produce meaningful quantities of negative ions. They do not purify air at any measurable level. They have no demonstrated effect on electromagnetic fields in residential spaces. Ion generation from salt requires substantial moisture evaporation. A lamp-warmed piece of rock salt sitting in a temperature-controlled living room produces negligible ionic activity compared to what would be needed to affect air quality in any measurable way. Industrial air ionizers that do measurably affect air quality operate at entirely different scales and power outputs. The global Himalayan salt lamp market has reached hundreds of millions of dollars, driven almost entirely by wellness lifestyle marketing on social media rather than clinical research of any kind. The electromagnetic radiation protection claim is particularly unmoored. A passive chunk of heated salt has no known mechanism for interacting with electromagnetic fields. You bought a glowing rock, placed it in your bedroom, and called it an air purifier. Your actual HEPA filter is sitting in the corner, feeling professionally disrespected. 15. Multi-level marketing wellness supplement. Companies tell consumers their products are scientifically superior and exclusively distributed because they are too effective for standard retail channels. The distribution model exists primarily to protect the commission structure, not because the products are in a different category of quality. The FTC has noted that the vast majority of MLM participants, typically over 99% according to income disclosure statements the companies publish themselves, do not earn meaningful profit from selling the products. Third-party testing of MLM supplement lines has repeatedly found that proprietary blends often contain the same active compounds available in retail supplements at a fraction of the price. MLM wellness companies have generated billions in aggregate annual U.S. revenue, with several individual companies exceeding $1 billion per year, placing them among the largest supplement sellers in the country. The legal distinction between a legal MLM and an illegal pyramid scheme rests on whether genuine retail sales to end consumers occur, a distinction the FTC has actively pursued and contested against multiple major companies. You paid 3 times the market rate for a standard supplement because someone you went to high school with held a presentation about financial independence. The only thing that got meaningfully supplemented was someone else's income monthly on a subscription basis. 16. Compression socks have been aggressively marketed beyond their legitimate clinical applications to healthy consumers as energy-boosting, recovery-accelerating daily performance tools. The clinical evidence supporting compression garments applies to specific medical conditions, including deep vein thrombosis, lymphedema, post-surgical swelling, and prolonged immobility events such as long-haul air travel. Medical-grade compression garments are calibrated by specific pressure levels and prescribed for diagnosed conditions. Consumer wellness compression products are typically not manufactured to these specifications and are not subject to the same testing requirements. Multiple studies examining compression socks in healthy athletic populations found minimal or inconsistent improvements in performance metrics compared to control groups without compression. The global wellness compression market has grown to over $3 billion, driven primarily by lifestyle branding that associates the product with elite athletic performance rather than its clinical origins. The product benefits from an intuitively logical-sounding mechanism, improved circulation. The phrase lands well even when the specific application doesn't produce measurable results in people whose circulation is already functioning normally. Your calves do not require a significant monthly expense in elastic to function during a standard commute. The actual prescription pad is in your doctor's office, and it requires an actual diagnosis. 17. Toning shoes with rounded, unstable rocker bottom soles were marketed with the promise that wearing them during normal daily walking would automatically activate additional muscle groups, passively sculpting calves, glutes, and legs without any change in activity level. The FTC charged the leading brand in this category with deceptive advertising, and the company paid $40 million in consumer refunds. The product did not tone anything meaningfully beyond what regular walking on flat shoes achieves. Skechers Shape-Ups were marketed with before and after imagery, celebrity endorsements, and specific claims including reduced cellulite and improved muscle definition, all of which the FTC found unsupported by credible scientific evidence. Biomechanical analysis of rocker sole footwear found that while the shoes do alter gait mechanics, the differences in muscle activation compared to standard shoes were insufficient to produce the body composition changes being advertised. The product line generated over $1 billion in sales before the FTC settlement, making it one of the most commercially successful footwear misrepresentations in American retail history. Independent studies conducted after the settlement examined rocker sole designs and found no significant caloric expenditure difference compared to standard athletic shoes. A billion-dollar shoe that promised a gym membership with every step delivered a settlement check and left consumers with rounded soles and flat results. 18. Vibrating weight loss belts are motorized devices worn around the midsection during inactivity, marketed as a way to reduce waist circumference and burn fat through external vibration and heat, with no exercise required on the part of the wearer. No passive vibration device worn externally on the abdomen reduces fat tissue. Vibration does not mobilize fat cells through the abdominal wall from the outside. Any temporary reduction in waist measurement after wearing a compression and heat device is the result of fluid redistribution and surface compression, not fat loss. The measurement returns to baseline rapidly after removal. These products have cycled through American infomercial culture repeatedly since the 1960s under different brand names, each generation repackaging the same basic device with updated visual design and new technical sounding terminology. Consumer product testing organizations have consistently found vibrating belt devices to deliver negligible caloric expenditure during use, in some cases less than sitting completely still for an equivalent duration. The mechanism does not interact with the biology it claims to affect. The marketing, however, has been consistently effective across 6 decades of consumer repetition. You strapped a massage component to your abdomen and waited for the transformation. The only thing that vibrated was your confidence in your own judgment as a purchaser. 19. The crystal wellness market sells the belief that specific geological formations, rose quartz, amethyst, black tourmaline, and others, emit unique vibrational frequencies that interact with the body's energy field to heal conditions, provide protection, attract abundance, and restore emotional balance. Crystals are minerals formed through geological processes over millions of years. They do not emit measurable frequencies in the manner described. They do not interact with human bioelectric fields in any clinically documented way. There is no peer-reviewed evidence of any therapeutic mechanism connected to passive crystal proximity. The U.S. crystal wellness market has been estimated at over $1 billion annually, with significant growth during the period between 2016 and 2022, driven by wellness influencer content across social media platforms. The vibrational frequency concept borrowed by crystal marketing has no relationship to the legitimate use of that term in physics. The phrase is used as an emotional metaphor dressed in scientific vocabulary. Some crystals do have documented piezoelectric properties, generating a small charge under mechanical stress, a principle used in microphones and pressure sensors, not in a stone sitting on a nightstand. You paid $60 for a rock to address your anxiety. Somewhere in that transaction, the anxiety got worse when you did the math. 20 colon cleanse products are built around the claim that the colon accumulates years of toxic waste along its interior walls, a substance called mucoid plaque, which must be cleared through herbal formulas, supplements, or irrigation to restore energy and health. Mucoid plaque, as described in cleanse marketing, is not a recognized medical or anatomical phenomenon. Gastroenterologists who have examined thousands of colons through colonoscopy have not documented this substance. The rubbery material that cleanse users sometimes observe in their stool after completing a program is believed by gastroenterologists to be a cast of the intestinal lining formed by the psyllium fiber and bentonite clay in the cleanse products themselves. The products are literally generating the physical evidence of their own effectiveness. The American Gastroenterological Association has stated there is no clinical evidence supporting colon cleansing for general wellness purposes in the absence of a specific medical indication. The colon cleanse supplement market generates hundreds of millions annually, with products available in major retail chains nationwide. Risks associated with aggressive cleansing protocols include electrolyte disruption, dehydration, and in cases involving irrigation, bowel perforation. The product manufactured the problem, sold you the solution, collected the payment, and your colon was entirely fine the whole time. This is not medicine. It is a business model with a very effective prop. 21 premium greens powders are marketed as superior nutritional replacements for whole vegetable intake, blending dozens of dehydrated vegetables, adaptogens, probiotics, and enzymes into a single daily scoop that allegedly delivers better nutrition than eating the actual plants. The nutritional bioavailability of highly processed, dehydrated, powdered plant material is measurably lower than whole vegetables. Many greens powders list their ingredients inside proprietary blends without disclosing individual quantities, making it impossible to verify whether any single component is present at a dose, matching what clinical research identifies as effective. The processing required to reduce vegetables to shelf-stable powder degrades heat-sensitive vitamins and enzymes, the very nutrients most prominently featured in the marketing language on the front of the container. Premium greens powders retail between $60 and $120 per month. Equivalent fresh vegetable intake is achievable at a fraction of that cost with superior documented bioavailability. Probiotic content listed on greens, powder labels, frequently does not survive the manufacturing process or the shelf life period. Third-party testing has found significant discrepancy between labeled and actual viable probiotic counts in finished products. You could have eaten a salad for $3. Instead, you paid $90 a month for powder that used to be a salad at a significantly higher temperature in a previous chapter of its existence. 22. Essential oil kits sold through direct sales and multi-level channels are marketed not merely as pleasant fragrances, but as therapeutic agents capable of treating infections, supporting immune function, regulating hormones, and addressing chronic illness. The FDA has issued repeated warning letters to essential oil companies and their distributor networks making specific disease treatment or prevention claims, finding those claims unsubstantiated and in violation of federal regulations. In 2014, the FDA sent a notable wave of warning letters targeting companies whose distributors were claiming essential oils could treat or prevent Ebola, which illustrates precisely how far therapeutic claims can drift from anything resembling evidence when financial incentives drive the message. Several essential oils are genuinely bioactive, containing compounds with real pharmacological effects, which is also why they carry documented risks of skin irritation, allergic response, and toxicity in non-diluted applications, particularly in children and animals. The essential oil direct sales market has exceeded $1 billion in the US. With multi-level distribution structures that reward distributors financially for recruiting other distributors, creating built-in incentive to amplify product claims well beyond what available evidence would support. Your kitchen smells remarkable. Your immune system remains completely indifferent to what is happening in the diffuser. The oregano oil did nothing except make you feel prepared, which is arguably its own separate value proposition. 23. Subscription smart water delivery services, marketing structured water, hydrogen water, or frequency-infused water promise cellular hydration and health outcomes beyond what standard water provides. Structured water is not a recognized state of matter with distinct hydration properties. The concept is not supported by mainstream chemistry or physiology. Liquid water's molecular arrangement shifts constantly and cannot be organized by passing through a consumer device in the way these products describe. Hydrogen water, in which hydrogen gas has been dissolved, has some preliminary research suggesting antioxidant properties, but hydrogen gas dissipates rapidly from unsealed containers, and the research base is insufficient to support the broad health claims made by commercial products. Subscription smart water services can cost hundreds of dollars per month compared to filtered tap water or standard reverse osmosis filtration systems that achieve comparable or superior water quality at a fraction of the cost. The premium water market broadly, encompassing structured, hydrogen, alkaline, and frequency-enhanced products, represents hundreds of millions in annual U.S. sales across the category. You signed up for a monthly subscription to receive water, in bottles, delivered to your door. Water that has allegedly been arranged differently at the molecular level. Your tap is running 12 feet away, completely unbothered by the competition. 24 celebrity-endorsed skinny teas and detox tea programs were marketed as fat-burning, metabolism-accelerating beverages capable of producing dramatic weight loss results, heavily promoted through influencer social media channels to audiences of millions. The FTC and FDA have taken action against multiple companies in this space. The weight loss mechanism in the majority of these products is a laxative effect from Senna leaf, an FDA-regulated stimulant laxative used in pharmaceutical contexts for short-term constipation treatment. Long-term use of Senna can cause laxative dependency, electrolyte imbalances, and bowel damage. None of this was prominently communicated in influencer promotions where the products were shown alongside aspirational lifestyle content. Any weight reduction observed while using these products is water weight and digestive transit reduction, which reverses immediately upon stopping the tea. It is not fat loss. The FTC pursued multiple influencers and companies in this category, resulting in settlements and requirements to disclose the paid nature of endorsements. This enforcement came after the products had already generated tens of millions in revenue. The products were specifically marketed to young women with messaging centered on rapid body transformation, targeting a demographic with documented vulnerability to disordered eating patterns. You paid $40 for a laxative in a decorative box, endorsed by someone who almost certainly did not drink it. 25 EMF protection stickers and shield devices sold for attachment to cell phones and electronics are marketed as blocking, neutralizing, or harmonizing the electromagnetic radiation those devices emit, protecting users from biological harm. These stickers have no electromagnetic shielding function. They are, in most cases, pieces of metallic-looking material with no capacity to interact with the frequencies they claim to neutralize. Legitimate electromagnetic shielding, a real and well-documented engineering concept known as a Faraday cage, requires complete enclosure of a signal source in conductive material. A sticker on one surface of a phone achieves nothing approximating this geometry. If an EMF sticker actually blocked a phone's antenna signal, the phone would fail to make calls or transmit data. The fact that your phone continues to work normally after application is direct proof that the sticker is not doing what the label promises. The FTC has taken action against companies selling EMF protection products and found their claims unsupported by any credible scientific evidence or independent testing. The market for these products, including stickers, pendants, fabrics, and specialty paint, has grown substantially alongside rising public concern about wireless technology. You put a decorative sticker on your phone to block radio waves. It performed exactly as well as putting a bumper sticker on your car to improve fuel economy. 26. Raw water, unfiltered and untreated spring water, sold at significant premium, was positioned around 2017 as superior to treated municipal water because it contains natural minerals and living organisms that processing destroys. The living organisms raw water contains include bacteria, viruses, parasites, and agricultural runoff byproducts. Municipal water treatment exists specifically because raw water sources historically caused cholera, typhoid, and dysentery outbreaks that killed people in large numbers. Certain Silicon Valley brands sold unfiltered spring water for up to $60 per 2.5-gallon jug, representing one of the highest per-gallon water prices in American retail history. Public health officials from the CDC explicitly cautioned against consumption of untreated water from natural sources, citing the risk of Giardia, Cryptosporidium, E. coli, and numerous other waterborne pathogens. The marketing of raw water specifically positioned municipal water treatment, one of the most significant public health achievements of the 20th century, as a harmful conspiracy rather than a system that dramatically reduced waterborne disease mortality across the entire country. The EPA estimates that before widespread water treatment implementation in the early 20th century, typhoid fever alone killed tens of thousands of Americans annually. You paid $60 for the authentic 19th century hydration experience. The 19th century got dysentery included at no extra charge. 27. The Hawaii chair was a motorized office seat equipped with a continuous hula rotation mechanism in the base, marketed as a passive core strengthening and calorie burning tool that could be used simultaneously with normal desk work. Sitting on a continuously rotating chair while attempting to type, read, conduct meetings, or think is not a workout. It is a disruption. The caloric expenditure generated by low-intensity passive hip oscillation in a seated position falls well below any threshold, contributing meaningfully to weight management over time. The chair was featured on a major television talk show in a demonstration segment that became widely viewed online, showing conclusively that performing basic office tasks in the chair was essentially impossible. The segment generated enormous brand awareness while simultaneously demonstrating that the product's core use case was functionally unusable, yet sales continued. The chair retailed for several $100s and was positioned as a solution to workplace inactivity, a real and legitimate health concern that the product addressed by making it impossible to do your job. Ergonomics researchers have noted that continuously unstable seating may contribute to back discomfort rather than core development without intentional engagement. You hula danced through an entire spreadsheet and called it cardio. The quarterly numbers were wrong, your back was unhappy, and your hips were the only part of the situation doing anything with any purpose. 28. Spring-loaded A/B resistance devices where users squeeze padded handles against spring tension in a crunch motion have been marketed across decades as effective targeted solutions for developing defined abdominal muscles through brief daily sessions. The range of motion and resistance load in these devices is insufficient to produce meaningful muscle development by any established exercise science standard. Visible abdominal definition is primarily a function of body fat percentage, typically requiring sustained low body fat levels that cannot be achieved through any localized resistance device, regardless of how consistently it is used. The spring tension in consumer ab squeeze devices is dramatically lower than what strength training research identifies as necessary to induce progressive overload and the muscle adaptation that follows. These products have been a reliable infomercial staple since the 1980s, repeatedly rebranded under different names for different generations of consumers, demonstrating a consistent and durable willingness to purchase equipment promising effortless abdominal results. The FDA and FTC have pursued multiple specific AB device brands for claims including fat reduction, six-pack development, and inch loss outcomes. The devices are not capable of producing through their mechanism of action. No spring-loaded gadget has ever uncovered a six-pack. The abs exist. They are underneath something. That something is not addressable by squeezing handles for 4 minutes a day. 29 oxygen bars offer sessions of inhaling concentrated oxygen at elevated purity levels and emerged as a wellness trend in the 1990s. They persist today in spas, airports, and casinos, marketed as improving alertness, curing hangovers, and delivering an energy boost. For a healthy individual at normal altitude with normally functioning lungs, breathing a higher concentration of oxygen produces no documented health benefit. At sea level, a healthy person's blood oxygen saturation runs at approximately 95 to 100%, meaning hemoglobin is already nearly fully saturated and cannot carry meaningfully more oxygen regardless of the concentration being inhaled. The physiology simply doesn't have additional capacity to fill. The only circumstances under which supplemental oxygen provides documented clinical benefit are diagnosed hypoxia, altitude sickness, specific cardiac and pulmonary conditions, and carbon monoxide poisoning, none of which is what an airport wellness kiosk is equipped to assess or treat. The FDA has noted that oxygen bars using flavored, scented oxygen may present respiratory irritation risks, as aromatic particles are inhaled alongside the concentrated gas. The hangover cure claim is unsupported. Alcohol metabolism is handled by the liver through enzymatic processes not meaningfully accelerated by elevated blood oxygen levels. You paid by the minute to breathe in a commercial space. The air outside the door was free and contained all the oxygen your blood could actually use. 30 Bowflex and similar home cable resistance gym systems have been marketed through infomercial before and after imagery, implying dramatic body transformation achievable in weeks using only the featured machine. The before and after format used in fitness equipment advertising is subject to specific FTC disclosure requirements precisely because the depicted results are not representative of typical user outcomes. The equipment may be functionally legitimate, the marketing presentation is a different matter entirely. Cable resistance systems offer real resistance training opportunity, but the results shown in infomercials typically involve professional models, controlled dietary protocols, and extended time periods that bear no resemblance to casual home use by someone with a regular job and a full refrigerator. Home fitness equipment has a well-documented utilization decline. Studies have found a significant percentage of home gym purchases are effectively unused within 6 months of acquisition, converting expensive equipment into infrastructure for storing clothing and seasonal decorations. The suggestion that a single machine replaces all forms of exercise needed for comprehensive fitness omits cardiovascular training requirements, progressive loading limitations, and the motivational environment that a physical gym provides through social pressure alone. The machine itself is real. The results on screen were achieved by people who were already fit, eating with precision, and professionally illuminated. Your machine is now a very expensive pants rack with excellent cable attachments. 31 colloidal silver, tiny silver particles suspended in liquid, is sold in health food stores and online with the marketing position that mainstream medicine doesn't want you to know how powerful it is as an antibiotic antiviral, and immune system booster. The FDA has stated that colloidal silver is not generally recognized as safe or effective for treating any condition. A permanent and irreversible side effect of long-term consumption is argyria, a condition in which silver particles deposit in tissue and turn the skin a permanent blue-gray color. Prior to modern antibiotics, silver did have historical medical applications. Silver-based wound dressings retain legitimate clinical use today. However, ingested colloidal silver sold in supplement stores bears no clinical relationship to these applications in mechanism, dose, or regulatory oversight. Argyria is permanent, disfiguring, and has been documented in multiple users who followed dosing instructions printed on commercial product labels. The FDA issued a final ruling in 1999 stating that colloidal silver marketed for disease treatment cannot be presumed safe or effective, yet products continue selling as dietary supplements using carefully constructed label language that skirts direct treatment claims. Marketing of colloidal silver has been particularly aggressive during public health events, with sellers positioning it as a treatment for active viral conditions. The antibiotic that turns you permanently blue is not the suppressed discovery they claimed it was. It is exactly as alarming as it sounds on first read. 32. Plastic spike acupressure mats, inspired by traditional bed of nails concepts, are sold as tools that relieve chronic pain, improve circulation, release endorphins, reduce stress hormones, and treat a range of conditions through pressure point stimulation. The evidence base for these mats as medical devices is limited. The documented effect is primarily a relaxation response generated by the mild discomfort to comfort transition as the body adjusts to the surface. That is a real neurological experience. It is not equivalent to the treatment claims being made on the packaging. Legitimate acupuncture research involves precise needle placement by trained practitioners targeting specific neurological pathways. Lying on a plastic spike mat is a distinct practice with entirely different mechanisms. Clinical trials examining acupressure mats for specific pain conditions have produced mixed results with small sample sizes and limited controls, not the evidence base associated with products making chronic condition treatment claims. The global acupressure mat market has grown significantly, with products retailing between $30 and $100 and marketed heavily through wellness lifestyle content on social platforms. The relaxation response triggered by the mat is real and measurable. It is also the same physiological state achievable through any sustained mild physical sensation. You lay on plastic spikes for 20 minutes and it did relax you, so would lying on a beach for 20 minutes. One of those required a shipping label. 33. LED nail curing lamps are frequently marketed with reassurances that LED variants are completely safe alternatives to UV exposure, with no relevant risk to skin or eyes. Many LED nail lamps used for gel curing still emit UVA radiation because the photo initiators in gel nail products require UVA wavelengths to polymerize, not visible light. The marketing distinction between UV and LED in consumer nail products is often technically misleading. A 2023 study published in Nature Communications found that UVA radiation from nail curing lamps caused significant DNA damage and mutations in human cell cultures, findings that generated substantial media coverage and consumer concern. UVA radiation penetrates deeper into skin than UVB and is associated with photoaging and a documented role in skin cancer development. These are the same UVA wavelengths that cure the gel on your nails. The global nail lamp market is a multi-$100 million industry, and the home gel manicure segment accelerated dramatically during the period between 2020 and 2022, significantly increasing consumer exposure to devices that had not been independently safety tested at population scale. Professional nail salons typically use gloves or apply sunscreen before lamp exposure for hand protection. This practice is not commonly communicated in home kit instructions. Your nails look excellent. Your dermatologist is quietly building a documentation trail. 34. Steam mop infomercials claim that steam cleaning floors and surfaces eliminates 99.9% of bacteria and viruses, delivering a chemical-free, medically effective sanitization method for residential use. Steam mops can reduce surface bacteria on hard floors when used correctly. The claim of 99.9% pathogen elimination requires specific temperature thresholds, minimum contact time, and surface conditions that most casual residential steam mop use does not consistently achieve, particularly on textured or grout surfaces where the steam head passes quickly and doesn't maintain sustained contact. Effective steam sanitization requires maintained contact at temperatures above 70 degrees Celsius for a minimum dwell period. A moving mop head sweeping across a floor does not reliably meet this standard. The 99.9% germ elimination figure is a recognized marketing standard in cleaning products that requires testing under specific controlled conditions, which may not reflect real-world residential use patterns. The steam mop market has generated hundreds of millions in sales driven by the legitimate appeal of chemical-free cleaning onto which sanitization claims are layered for marketing amplification. On smooth sealed tile with adequate contact time, these devices do genuinely reduce bacterial load. The problem is the gap between what works under ideal conditions and what the packaging promises for all surfaces and all situations. Your floor is cleaner. Your germ phobia is exactly where the product needs it to be to generate a repeat purchase. 35 subscription meal kit services are widely perceived as delivering nutritionally superior, fresher ingredients compared to grocery store equivalents, justifying per meal costs that are significantly higher than equivalent home cooking from grocery purchased ingredients. Third-party cost analyses have found that meal kit ingredients are frequently sourced from the same commercial supply chains as standard grocery stores, and the per-serving cost is typically 2 to 4 times higher than equivalent home-cooked meals using ingredients bought at retail. A 2020 analysis found average meal kit meals cost approximately $8 to $12 per serving, compared to $2 to $4 for comparable home-cooked meals. The premium reflects packaging, logistics, and marketing, not ingredient superiority. The subscription model is specifically engineered for retention through inertia. Cancellation processes across multiple meal kit services have been the subject of consumer complaints and regulatory inquiry. Meal kit packaging generates significant plastic and insulated liner waste, a material reality that contrasts with the fresh, sustainable, farm-to-table imagery that forms the core of the category's marketing identity. Several major meal kit companies have struggled with profitability despite billion-dollar valuations, indicating the business model's economics are genuinely challenged even at the premium prices charged. You paid 4 times the grocery rate for the experience of cooking your own food in your own kitchen. The service is real. The value proposition requires selective arithmetic and a strong preference for portioned ingredients in labeled bags. 36. Brands and celebrities sold consumers on NFTs tied to consumer products and experiences during 2021 and 2022, promising meaningful digital ownership, exclusive access rights, lasting community membership, and long-term value storage comparable to owning a physical asset. The vast majority of branded consumer NFTs issued during the market peak are now worth a fraction of their purchase price. Multiple brand-issued NFT collections have seen floor prices decline by 90% or more from mint price, with many now trading at near zero value on secondary markets. The legal nature of NFT ownership was ambiguous from the launch of the category. Purchasing an NFT does not necessarily convey copyright to the underlying image, does not guarantee continued server existence of the linked digital file, and creates no binding obligations on the issuing brand beyond what is written in often obscure smart contract terms that purchasers did not read. The global NFT market reached a peak transaction volume of approximately $25 billion in 2021 before declining sharply, representing one of the most accelerated retail speculation cycles in consumer market history. Several brand NFT projects delivered promised real-world utility in the form of Discord server membership and virtual events, benefits that dissolved when associated communities lost interest as prices fell. You paid hundreds of dollars to own a JPEG of a shoe on a public ledger. The shoe company still owns the shoe. The ledger is permanent. The value was not. 37 app-connected smart water bottles retailing between $50 and $100 are marketed with personalized hydration coaching, body weight adjusted intake calculations, glowing reminder systems, and Bluetooth connectivity as essential tools for optimizing daily water consumption. Hydration requirements vary primarily by activity level and ambient temperature and are reliably communicated by the body's own thirst mechanism, a sensor system that humans have used with reasonable success for several 100,000 years without requiring a wireless connection to function. The personalized hydration formula in most smart bottle apps is a variation of a standard body weight-based hydration calculation, a formula that is publicly available and does not require a $75 vessel to access. The functional difference between a smart bottle and a regular marked water bottle, where incremental lines indicate volume consumed, is the app, the LED reminder ring, and the Bluetooth module. The water inside is physically identical. The connected fitness device, market broadly, shows significant purchase to long-term use drop-off rates across smart water bottles, fitness trackers, and related quantified self-products. The marketing leverages the belief that tracking a metric improves it, applied in a context where the underlying data is neither difficult to estimate nor meaningfully more actionable when delivered through a push notification on your phone. Your $75 bottle glowed blue to remind you to drink water. Your body was attempting to convey the same information through thirst, for free, which is a system that predates Bluetooth by a meaningful geological margin. 38 shampoos and scalp treatments, marketed with language including clinically proven to reduce hair loss, or supported by dermatological research, are believed to deliver medically validated hair restoration benefits with consistent use. Clinically tested and clinically proven are not FDA-regulated claims in the same manner as drug efficacy statements, and the studies supporting them are frequently industry-funded, small in sample size, or measuring proxy metrics rather than actual documented hair growth outcomes. The only topical treatments with FDA approval for hair loss claims are minoxidil and finasteride. Every other shampoo or supplement claiming hair growth benefits navigates around that regulatory standard using language like supports and promotes rather than treats, a vocabulary distinction that keeps them in the cosmetic lane rather than the drug lane. Hair loss caused by androgenetic alopecia, the most prevalent form, is driven by hormonal and genetic factors that are not addressable by topical shampoo application regardless of ingredient quality or concentration. The hair loss product market in the US is valued at several $billion annually, with the majority of products operating in the supplement and cosmetic space, where efficacy claims face significantly lighter regulatory scrutiny than pharmaceutical claims. Consumer study designs used to support clinically proven shampoo claims have included self-reported satisfaction surveys, single-arm trials without placebo comparison, and hair count methodologies measuring different variables than recognized clinical research standards. Clinically proven is doing the work of an entire research institution on the back of a bottle. The clinic in question may have been a very small room with a confident camera operator. 39 inversion therapy devices and anti-gravity boots suspend users partially or fully upside down and are marketed as solutions to chronic back pain, disc compression, spinal alignment problems, and, in some consumer-facing content, height increase through gravity reversal. Evidence for inversion therapy as a treatment for chronic spinal conditions is limited and inconsistent. Any decompression effect reverses almost immediately upon returning to an upright position and does not address the underlying structural causes of most diagnosed spinal conditions. Studies examining inversion therapy for disc herniation show short-term symptom relief in some patients, but durable long-term benefit is not established in the current research literature. Inversion positions cause measurable increases in blood pressure, heart rate, and intraocular pressure, and are specifically contraindicated for individuals with hypertension, glaucoma, or cardiovascular conditions, risks not always prominently disclosed in consumer product marketing. The claim that inversion therapy increases height appears periodically in consumer-facing content and is not supported by evidence. Temporary disc rehydration that occurs naturally during overnight sleep does not produce permanent height gain, and inversion adds nothing to that baseline process. Inversion tables retail from $150 to $600 and occupy a regulatory space between wellness product and medical device that permits broad marketing language. You hung upside down like a very committed bat for 6 minutes, and your disc returned to its original position the moment you stood up. It was memorable. It was not therapeutic. 40 premium sleep supplement kits, retailing at $60 to $120 per month, combine multiple sleep supportive ingredients including ashwagandha, L-theanine, magnesium glycinate, and various botanical extracts into proprietary blends marketed as delivering clinically meaningful improvements in sleep quality. Some individual ingredients carry emerging evidence for modest sleep effects in specific populations. Magnesium deficiency, common in populations relying heavily on processed food, is associated with disrupted sleep, and magnesium supplementation has evidence for improving sleep in deficient individuals. This legitimate finding is then extrapolated by marketers to cover every ingredient listed in a proprietary blend, regardless of the individual evidence for each. Proprietary blend labeling permits manufacturers to list all ingredients without disclosing how much of any single ingredient is present, making it impossible for consumers or independent researchers to assess whether any component appears at a dose with demonstrated effect. Melatonin, the most evidence-supported over-the-counter sleep supplement, is available at major retailers for under $10 per month. Premium sleep supplement kits frequently include melatonin as one of 8 to 12 listed ingredients at undisclosed doses, priced at 10 times the standalone cost. The sleep wellness product market in the U.S. exceeds $800 million annually, accelerated by genuine post-pandemic sleep disruption awareness, a real public health issue that premium supplement marketing has effectively monetized. You paid $100 for a mystery blend at mystery doses to address a real problem that a $9 bottle of melatonin was already managing adequately. 41. Topical creams and serums sold for cellulite reduction generate hundreds of millions in annual U.S. sales, marketed with the implication that penetrating active ingredients applied to the skin's surface can break down or smooth fat deposits in the connective tissue beneath. Cellulite is caused by the structural relationship between fat cells and fibrous connective tissue bands located beneath the skin surface, a physical architecture that no topical cream has demonstrated the ability to permanently alter. Caffeine-containing creams, the most common active ingredient in this category, do temporarily dehydrate and tighten the superficial skin layer, creating a brief visual smoothing effect that lasts a short time after application. This temporary surface effect is the basis for the clinically tested claims on packaging, typically measured at 30 minutes post-application rather than as a structural change across weeks of use. The FDA classifies products claiming to structurally alter body tissue as drugs, not cosmetics, which is precisely why cellulite creams are required to make appearance-based claims only, avoiding the language that would require drug approval and clinical proof of structural effect. The only treatments with meaningful clinical evidence for cellulite improvement are procedural, including subcision and energy-based devices, none of which come in a tube at the drugstore. The cellulite cream market has sustained hundreds of millions in annual sales for decades, despite available evidence that the category cannot deliver structural results. The cream doesn't reach the architecture causing the problem. It smooths the surface, collects $45, and moves on. 42. LED ring lights marketed simultaneously as content creation tools and skin therapy devices claiming red light therapy benefits have entered the consumer market as therapeutic products that reduce wrinkles, improve collagen production, and accelerate healing through light exposure. Clinical red light therapy uses specific wavelengths at specific irradiance levels delivered for precise durations. These are the parameters that matter. Most consumer LED ring lights do not meet them and do not disclose them. The FDA has cleared specific red light therapy devices for defined cosmetic indications, but that clearance applies to those particular devices tested at those particular parameters, not to every LED product on the market using red light as a marketing ingredient. A 2023 study published in Nature Communications found that UVA radiation from nail curing lamps caused DNA damage in human cell cultures, a finding that illustrated how poorly understood consumer LED product safety has been at the population level. The consumer red light therapy market has grown substantially, with products ranging from $30 panels to $500 full-body devices, creating a market where legitimate clinical technology and decorative lighting share shelf space and claim language without consumers having a reliable way to distinguish between them. The dual marketing of ring lights as photography tools and therapy devices in the same product listing represents regulatory arbitrage. The photography claim requires no evidence, the therapy claim requires substantial evidence, and blending the two obscures the distinction entirely. Your ring light made your skin look better on camera. That is real and it counts for something. The collagen underneath is completely unbothered. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.